Welcome to the 50th anniversary celebration of the work of the Brahma Kumaris in the UK. I'm Neville Hodgkinson, a long-term student with the BK Spiritual University. This programme aims to give you a flavour of how the movement's story has unfolded in the southern region of England. It begins with an encounter in Brighton, Sussex, of two young women who had both become interested in the Brahma Kumaris and the Raja Yoga meditation that they teach. These two found themselves living almost opposite each other in Picton Street, Brighton. And in September 1984, a house there in that street became the first BK centre in the region. Among other activities, the centre started organising weekend retreats at a place called Horn Farm in Sussex. Senior members of the BK movement, including Dadi, Janki, one of the founding sisters, came to help at these retreats. They saw the value of such residential events in supporting spiritual growth, and later they established two major retreat centres in Oxford and in Worthing. So retreats have become a particular speciality of BK activity and service in the southern region. Meanwhile, back in Brighton in 1996, after Picton Street, a larger house was bought to serve as a new centre. As interest in Raj Yoga grew, that house also became too small and programmes took place in hired halls and even a converted windmill. Regular monthly events, including workshops, courses and retreats, were established to help people in neighbouring towns, and over the past 12 years, an outreach team based in Brighton has run 2 one-day retreats each month in mainly rural settings. It's nearly 40 years since those first powerful seeds were sown. Today, hundreds of thousands have been served through retreats, as well as talks and courses in the region. And the work is sustained by a core of people who've seen big improvements in their own lives through their years of spiritual study. We are now going to meet Linda, one of those two founding sisters in Brighton, in a conversation with Mark and Mina from the Worthing and Oxford retreat centres respectively. And I'll tell you more about those other centres soon. The conversation is in 3 parts as the 3 yogis explore their experience of 3 virtues: love, truth and beauty. We will also hear meditations by Sister Manda, who for 25 years was the coordinator of the Oxford Centre. Those meditations are about emerging those 3 virtues in our own inner world and how that strengthens us in our relations with the world around us.
Hi everyone, it's very nice to see you both. It'd be much nicer to see you in live, but it's just as nice to see you on screen. And we've kind of got used to this kind of way of speaking to each other, and it has actually opened us up to being worldwide in this way, where we don't have to travel to countries. We stay at home and travel around the world, which is a really lovely. It's a really lovely blessing that Zoom has given to us. So it's lovely to see both of you this afternoon, and we are exploring the aspect of love for this first conversation. So I wanted to just share that love is how I was spiritually born. That my spiritual birth in this Raj Yoga was actually through love. My very first experience when I met the Brahma Kumaris was I was taken into, when I sat for meditation with them, which I wasn't really particularly interested in doing that, but I got cajoled into sitting with them And boom, I was gone. I went up miles beyond the clouds, and I was in this experience of absolute stillness. And it was a kind of silence, but not an empty space. And this experience of love just overwhelmed me, and my heart just opened. It felt that the image that came to me afterwards was, it's like Cupid had just shot this arrow straight into my heart. And I just felt the warmth of this love. So amazing, such an amazing experience. So I'm a child of love. And the second thing is that when I had this experience, I really felt in my mind, this word came to me that this is God. This is God. And I didn't question that at all. So that was my real first experience of real love. Not I've had lots of other experiences of love, but this was to me a very, very different experience of love. So how about you?
Similar feeling of that I also feel my relationship with God is when I really truly experience God. Every day, early morning meditation is the time when I feel God's love, a love that understands or accept, embrace, and it just this feeling of being in presence of such a powerful and pure energy.
My start, I think, was quite different all of that, because when I came across Brahma Kumaris and discovered this spirituality, I was coming from a place of such unbelief, no belief at all. And but what really grabbed me was the understanding, the knowledge, and it took me quite some time before I really started to experience love. And I think it's because I was so physically minded and so much desperate to have things clear and based on logic and reason. So what sustained me or kept me going, you could say, was just understanding and finding this new ideas that were being put to me every day. And around me, people were like Linda, shooting off into the sky and having amazing experiences. Or some people were saying, are they seeing this scene or that scene, or amazing feelings and whatnot. And when I got to share my experience, it was like nothing. No pass. But I was persevering because of my understanding, and I'm glad I did, because after a while, it's like the knowledge started to transform into kind of deeper awareness. And then I really started to open up and experience love. And that love was quite comprehensive. It was like a much deeper love of the self based on spiritual truth than I'd ever known before. And then also this new understanding of there's a God and who he is and what he is, and that actually I can receive love from that one. And when I opened myself up to that idea and actually put into practice the process which was being shared with me, I really started to feel this divine, or you could say spiritual love. And that was really transformatory, because I'd never known anything like that before. Everything had been very limited. And so I felt, there's so much here, both in the self and also from the one above, from God. And which was a new word for me to get used to. And I knew the word, but I'd never accepted it. And so now this one was part of my life, or becoming so anyway. So that was a flowering of love, you could say.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark, because I mean, I had those words that this is God, but I wasn't a godly type person beforehand. And like you, I'd heard the word, but it I didn't have any kind of connection with that. So, but when those words came into my mind, it was with such a power. It wasn't from my mind creating that. It came from outside of me. It felt like it came from outside of me anyway. And it was just like I accept. Oh, okay, that was it. You know, it wasn't. I didn't ever question that. And I think that's kind of connected with, you know, when we first started to gather together, a few of us to meditate, and people used to have all these kind of visions and see colors and that's what we did in the beginning. When we came together, we meditated for an hour, and then we just sat and shared what we experienced. And these people had had these experiences, and then, like you, he came to me, and what did you experience? Well, actually, I didn't know the word bliss, but that's what I was experiencing. I just went into this real deep sense of silence or stillness and experienced bliss. And there wasn't anything to report when it was my turn. And it surprised me as to why was I having this, like having these amazing experiences. And they didn't last for 5 minutes. They lasted me they lasted me all day, because every day I was having these experiences. So they kind of lasted 24 hours, and then I went into the next one. So, I was kind of rolling on this for months. It wasn't something that was a temporary thing. But what I learned from that was, a few years or sometime later, I learned that the mind it functions in three ways, which I find very helpful, because most people do think in visions. And then there are less people that think in feelings, and then there's even less people that think in sound. So I'm a feelings type person. So, I close my eyes and I go inside and I see nothing, but I feel lots of things. So I found that quite helpful, because I used to think I was quite odd. It was quite odd that I was having these amazing experiences, but couldn't kind of verbalize them, because there were no words to describe what I was feeling. So it wasn't an empty space, it was a very full space. And just to lastly add how transformative that was and how healing that was, and how much I needed to be healed was something I didn't even realize how broken I was inside. You cover it up with lots of things, like, all these things that people use nowadays. So yes, that's where I was at.
I like what you shared about the different way of people learn or perceive. And I am a visual person, so I can picturize things. But also I have a logic mind. Things have to make sense for me to understand. But when it comes to love, I feel that as much as the experience of love in that moment, in the meditation time, but the result of it also, it's so tangible. It actually makes you feel full. So there's this experience of being full inside and feeling that wholeness. So that's also how I feel that how my connection with God, or in that meditation experience, is not just while I'm meditating, but it just stays with you because it makes you feel full.
Continuing on from that, along with fullness, in particular for myself, it was to love the self and accept the self and like the self as well. And despite any of the negative tendencies or characteristics there might be. And I just remember sometimes in meditation, or sometimes when I was riding my motorbike, I would just have this feeling of being bathed in God's love. Which is so bizarre in one level, because it's so subtle and sublime, but it felt so real as well. Like this is the truth. This is the right thing. And I found that having that spiritual love for the self and really experiencing what felt such a tangible love from God, one, it made me really believe and have faith in this being who can't be known for the physical senses, but perceived with the awareness of the intellect. But also it gave me an encouragement to share with others as well, and help others to put themselves in line to have that experience. And when I started that, it opened up a whole new vista of experience, because when you start sharing with other people, what happens is that the understanding you have becomes more clarified and affirmed, as well as what I thought I knew. I often found I don't know that as well as I thought. And of course, the blessings you receive, the love you receive, and that kind of exchange, and actually having spiritual interactions. It's so beautiful when you're talking about things like now, the things of the heart, the things of the soul, spiritual love. It's just on a different level of communication. And I found when I started on that journey of sharing that was it's just wonderful. What a fantastic opportunity to just dive into the self and keep sharing what you found.
Love is who I am. As I become aware of this notion that I am love, I find myself experiencing a surge of deep peace, because I'm no longer seeking or striving or searching or demanding anything from outside of myself. I become aware of this beautiful energy of acceptance. And in this space and energy of acceptance, I'm willing and able to extend myself to everything and to everyone around me. This love is this pure, unconditional state of being, which is intrinsic to I, the human spirit. Soft, sweet, gentle, vastness that envelops me, but also I become the extension of all that is around me. No matter what the external situation or a person may be like, I become aware that they are part of me and I am part of them. Let me appreciate and value each and every individual, each and every scene that I find myself in. This allows me to naturally be who I am and accept and share and love. Om Shanti.
In 1991, in London, the Brahma Kumaris inaugurated a magnificent purpose-built international headquarters called Global Cooperation House. As it opened its doors to serve through workshops, seminars and day events, it became clear that people thirsty for spiritual understanding and experience would also benefit from a residential facility where they could step away from their busy lives and receive a taste of inner peace and power. Dadi Janki instituted an urgent search for such a facility, and some 40 properties were viewed before a historic 70-bedroom former stately home called Newnham House, built in the mid-18th century, overlooking the River Thames in Oxfordshire, suddenly came into view. It had been empty for 4 years, and on the 4th of January 1993, a 100-year lease was acquired for just over £1 million. 6 months of renovation followed, and in June 1993, the house opened as Global Retreat Centre, also known as GRC, reflecting the fact that it was to serve people from all over the world. Educators, prison and social workers, health professionals, architects, scientists, and other specialist groups benefited from events tailored to their professional needs. Meditation retreats for the public were so popular that at one time there was a waiting list of 500. There were also regular day seminars, afternoon workshops, and evening talks. In recent years, at GRC, a festival called Peace in the Park brought in tens of thousands of visitors, including families and young people, many families. It began with a half-day event in the Grade 1 listed grounds, where, as well as soaking up the beautiful healing energy, people could learn aspects of Raj Yoga meditation and allied subjects like positive thinking or stress management. In no time, this turned into a 3-day festival, offering a choice from as many as 250 events. These ranged from Qigong to garden tours, fairy tale theatre to face painting, short lectures and musical interludes. And a concert at the end of each day took us all into a state of sacred love and tranquility, with a meditation for world peace. I remember sitting on the lawns at the end of these days and the beauty of the hundreds and thousands of people enjoying it. The work of the retreat centre was done without pay by those involved and without charge to participants. This was because guests were receiving something for which there's no price tag, and also VKs were furthering their own spiritual development through this service. Nevertheless, buildings, especially historic ones, cost time, energy and money to maintain. Nearly 4 years ago, an aging plumbing system began to fail, and GRC had to close for an extensive renovation. That work is now almost completed, and it's hoped that the centre will very soon become ready for people to come and experience their own inner love, truth and beauty once again.
Picking up the subject of truth now, it took me back to my early days in Ilford, where I spent a lot of time understanding and studying and practicing meditation, Raj Yoga. And we had a teacher there called Satish, and he would have such a handle on the depth of spirituality that when he spoke, he used to take all of us who were listening into such an experience of the words that we were journeying really deeper towards truth of our own selves and truth of understanding the natural laws of spirituality, the truth of God. And although it was a journey of knowledge, it was so experiential. And I remember sometimes even having tears of joy in my eyes, just at the sense of the incredible discoveries that I was having, both with insights, understanding, but most of all the feeling, the experience of that sense of wonder and amazement of what this knowledge is unfolding for myself, and also actually for the sense of personal potential, who I actually am. Whereas previously stuck in this very physical bodily awareness, I'm Mark from such and such a place, and not particularly interesting actually in the greater sense of things, and suddenly discovering these amazing possibilities and new perceptions. So that was a wonderful scene that came to my mind on that.
And I feel sorry, the truth, just this freedom of realizing that you are eternal. For me, that aspect of truth is just amazing to have that feeling. The other thing I was thinking about when I think of truth is this thought came to my mind. It's like, wait, you know, in life things happened, and it's just pausing because truth reveals itself. So this practice of just wait for situation. I don't need to prove. I don't need to do anything. And it's liberation. This is really freedom.
Yeah, I think truth for me was, truth for me is that this study is so simple. That before I came across Brahma Kumaris, I'd been reading lots and lots of things, and the last book I was reading was written by Alice Bailey, and this is incredibly, I mean, it's in the English language, but incredibly complicated and complex to try and get your head round. And I used to think, you know, if this is really truth, then if what she's saying is really true, it is the truth, then only a very small minority of people would be able to understand this. You'd have to be quite educated. And most people on this planet are poor people, and they don't have high levels of education. And I thought, well, I actually have had an education and I don't understand it. So they definitely wouldn't understand it. So when I came to this and I really saw, you know, how simple it was. I mean, in the beginning, the pictures were so childish. I thought they were so childish, the pictures that they used to deliver the course, that I thought, you know, if you lived in a mud hut in Africa, you could understand this. The concepts were so simple, produced so simple. And the second thing I thought that this is truth is that you didn't have to pay for this education. And nowadays, education is very, very expensive. Students that leave university now are all in debt before they even start work. So I think there's these two factors added to me that of course, the content of truth, but these two things pointed me in that direction.
That was,
and if you're a student, it's definitely something that you would try it out to learn. And I feel that this truth that I've discovered it's not an intellectual thing. You know, although there are a lot of logics behind the understanding of the Raj Yoga, but it's also connecting to the heart, which is why it's applicable to everyone. Sorry, Mark, you wanted to say something?
No, it's beautiful. There's something that happened fairly recently, actually. What I found with just understanding the truth in the sense of knowing that I am this eternal being, this soul, and an actor in this wonderful, incredible global drama, which seems to be a very kind of exciting or drastic thing at the moment. But just appreciating that I'm the soul and not just this body has helped so much. And especially when I make mistakes, like recently saying something which is a bit wrong, and it's so easy to go into a negative spiral and unhappiness and having waste thoughts or wrong thoughts about it and overthinking. But as soon as I remember the truth, which is I'm this eternal being, I don't have to go through all of that kind of emotional and blame and of the self, blame, shame game, which is so common in regular life. It's like we can be freed from that. And as soon as I remembered that, I was able to release myself from that tendency. And that has been so useful many, many times. And it's actually quite a powerful energy, I found, that kind of tendency to be negative about the self and or others. As soon as I remember truth, I, the soul, the living being, then it's like it puts everything in perspective, and I can let go of that deep kind of compulsion to go into negativity and negative emotion. It's been so useful from that point of view.
Yeah, I quite agree, actually, that the eternal truth is that I can never die. And I think this is really an amazing thing, and that I have lived forever, but played different parts as we've gone through time. So, you know, sometimes we get confused as to why we behave. I mean, I remember somebody asking me if I was a man in my last birth, and I thought that was really quite interesting. And yeah, quite possibly I was a man in my last birth. So, you know, when you start to broaden this, that I'm not just this thing that I see in the mirror, but actually I live forever. I think that's so liberating to understand that I always exist. And so this brings us back to a sense of sort of stability and security. And also I find it's really, really helpful to hold on to that in relation to one's ego, that actually all I am is just this eternal point of light. And I'm just an actress playing a part at this particular time through this particular body. And, you know, when this body ceases to function, I'll go and play another part in another body. And I think there's so much fear nowadays around death that this is incredibly liberating, I feel.
Yeah, that echoes my experience also. And I found also, since accepting the existence of that there's a God as a supreme spiritual being, and being able to connect with that one mind to mind, that aspect of truth has also helped so much, because not only have I got my own power, which is growing through meditation, but access to this really unlimited current of very pure and silent, powerful energy, which is so healing and doesn't see anything negative or doesn't hold anything on me. It's nothing but benevolent and powerful and loving and beautiful. That has helped so much.
And a sense of protection too. A sense of protection, I feel. Yeah, that there's this silent incognito being that's really kind of encompassing us within me, that this sense of protection, that actually no real harm can come, whatever the situations or circumstances that we have to face. And we do this isn't a kind of a cop-out of facing difficulties. There's certainly plenty of difficulties, but there's a sense of protection when we really put this into practice and go deep inside and connect with ourselves as just a point of light, which automatically connects you with the Supreme, with God. So I think that sense of protection, that we are always protected, and in that consciousness of protection, I find that it actually doesn't just, you know, that protection just isn't over me, but it's over other people also. That it's, you know, it gives you the experience to be able to protect others, to bring others into that sense of protection. I've used it many times with people that have had, you know, some traumatic situation that I've connected with that aspect, and they felt it very stabilizing and comforting.
Sometimes when we hear this word, this concept of truth, we might become a little scared, or even wondering whether it's really possible for us to be this at this time. But as I become aware of myself as this pure spiritual energy, separate from this physical body, I touch truth, because I touch the essence of purity. A state in which nothing external is mixed within my consciousness, I become aware that in this state of truth, I am peace, I am love, I am joy, I am also the soft, gentle, quiet, serene energy, light. And in this awareness, nothing external can touch me. Nothing negative can influence me. And I become aware of the eternal nature of the human spirit. I don't have a beginning, and I don't have an end. Let me perceive that for a moment. I don't have a beginning, and I don't have an end. I always exist. I may not exist in this shape and form, but I exist as this living, thinking, conscient energy in its pure, original state. I sense this energy run through the whole of my being, my mind, my personality trait, as well as my physical being. And in this state, even my body becomes light, almost translucent, and I use it as a vehicle. I choose to use my organs. I am, as the Spirit, in charge of my senses. I choose, or not, to be influenced by what is outside of me. Because as the energy of truth, I am in a place of power. Om Shanti.
I've mentioned already Dadi Janki, one of the founding sisters of the Brahma Kumaris movement, who came from India to London in 1974 to share the understandings of Raj Yoga with the wider world. Dadi, which means elder sister, passed on at the age of 104 in March 2020. She was an exceptionally powerful yogi, that is, one who keeps their mind connected to the divine in order to bring love, beauty and truth into this world. Born in Hyderabad, Sindh, now in Pakistan, she embraced the spiritual path from the age of 21. She was part of a gathering of more than 300 who lived in Karachi, near the seaside, with Brahma Baba, founder of the movement, for 14 years. They moved as a group to India in 1950, following the partition in 1947. They used to feel inspired by the power and simplicity of the sky and the ocean, and Dadi was reminded of those early days when she visited the south coast of England. Thus it was that in 2004, after protracted negotiations, 2 adjoining houses in a beautiful Victorian terrace on the seafront in Worthing were bought by the BK UK charity and remodelled as a retreat centre called the Lighthouse. A 3rd house was added subsequently, giving a total capacity of 25 beds. Retreats take place there on most weekends, and individuals and small groups also stay midweek. The opportunity to experience conversations on spiritual themes, as well as to experience silence, in a safe space and tranquil atmosphere, serves to increase understanding and friendship between those who come. The small team that runs the centre has also organised countless talks and courses, both in the house and through outreach programmes, serving support groups and schools and other organisations in and around the area. A former mayor of Worthing, after attending a programme at the centre, described the lighthouse as one of the town's hidden jewels. I was with him when that happened. It was over a cup of tea and he was so thrilled about it. COVID brought residential retreats to a halt, but talks and courses continued online, and the house has come alive again with the end of lockdown. For the loyal staff, most of whom have served there for many years, the Lighthouse is another example of the fortune of happiness that is earned when our loving, true and beautiful nature is given the chance to be expressed through service.
So from last conversation about truth, we're moving towards beauty. When I think of beauty, what comes to my mind is the beautiful mind. I love this feeling in the thought of how our minds are so beautiful, and that comes from thoughts, how my thoughts are. And this in expression is when it comes naturally to me. So beauty is to do with one part of it is within looking within and see the beauty inside. But when we see the beauty outside, what does that create within me? This feeling of it's amazing or it's mesmerizing, and it's like you come to the present moment. When you think about beauty, it's actually bringing you into now. So I feel how connected they are in actually being in the moment, and just seeing the beautiful world and within and around us.
That reminds me of when I first came across all of the Brahma Kumaris, the sisters and brothers, how beautiful everyone looked. Very often or mostly dressed in white, but just the beauty of such that purity and kind of honesty and truthfulness and love and kind of shine in people's eyes. And it was so attractive. It also reminded me of everything I'm not, but it just made me feel I really felt these are like angels, these people. I was absolutely bowled over by it all. And when I began my journey, I felt I'd really love to have some of that with myself. And on the course of the journey, I have seen that beauty in the self, and sometimes had a kind of I call it not really a vision as such, but like a very profound, deep insight into the possibility of or the potential of the self to really have this incredibly virtuous and a spiritual, beautiful personality. And it's almost like personified as a very wonderful image. But it really gave me an awful lot of inspiration and hope that really I can actually be, and not just can be, but that's my original state. So it's so beautiful, and it's like so attractive and appealing. And so it it gives a lot of encouragement to continue and deepen the spiritual journey in order to realize that potential. And of course, it's in everyone. That's the wonderful thing. Anyone who cares to look with a accurate method and path is going to find that. Really wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that especially emerges when we meditate together. I think that over the years, every time we've been in lockdown, so it's not quite the same. But whenever there's been people that we've done a program and people have come together and we've had meditation together, then I feel that that's what happens to everyone, that they connect with their inner beauty. And that inner beauty is actually dissolving the outer and really connecting with the inner, the real truth of me. So whether they've had, people have had any kind of real deep understanding that they're a spiritual being living in matter or not, that it's actually, they can still have the experience. So I feel that beauty is over the years I've seen how it's connected with goodness, and that if one really strives to make adjustments inside the self, to choose to use virtues as opposed to anger or ego to get things done, that actually that beauty really starts to become substantial and starts to become more real in your life, rather than pretending to be a nice person, which I find that anybody can do that. Anybody can do that in certain circumstances, but to be really genuinely a nice person, it's not terribly fashionable in today's world, but everybody's wanting it. Everybody's wanting to have that experience, because when you are a good person, then what happens is that everybody loves you and everybody wants to be loved. Everyone wants to love and to be loved. So I think this kind of experience of beauty is more of an outcome of it's an experience that we can all have for 4 minutes when we're kind of meditating, but I think it's an outcome of quite a long period of time of practice, that we've gone through these 3 words, but love is, I think, we start with, and then we get more into truth, and the outcome is that we become more beautiful. And then when you feel beautiful, because isn't that what today's world is all about, that people, Botox and dye their hair and do everything to become more beautiful. But when you feel beautiful inside, you can do all those things and still feel ugly inside. But when you feel beautiful inside, and sometimes we've seen someone in a really sort of a dysfunctional body, and yet they radiate a sense of beauty. So this sense of beauty is really an inner experience. And I feel it definitely comes when we sit and meditate together. Everybody feels light and just free.
Completely agree with you, Linda. I think you've put it beautifully. But it's true that how the beauty is actually connected to simplicity. When our mind, if my mind is simple, and also connected to what you said about having virtues, then actually that's when I feel that radiates the right energy. Because if I'm complicated inside and if I'm confused inside, then I won't feel beautiful inside. And no matter what I do externally, and not I'm going to feel, or no other is actually going to really appreciate. So how can we really come back to simplicity? And I feel that more and more that's what actually is happening, is to be really simple inside.
Reminds me of when there was these pieces in the park in Oxford, the Global Retreat Centre, when so many of us were going there to cooperate and help out, and it was such an opportunity to share your own virtues and values, and just being very, very light. And it's like, at that time especially, everyone was in such a beautiful mindset, and so many people came and enjoyed, and it's just like a dance of virtues, you could say, and a taste of what life can be like. And with so many people milling around, and everything was being talked and so positive and upbeat, and sharing as well being so very natural as well. Even though sometimes in a scenario where I may be sharing on the topic, but it's like sharing with friends and fellow companions, and I've really found that the more I've seen that beauty in others, it's so much more easier to communicate, because I'm speaking to the virtues in another person with an awareness of my own as well. And I think that really enhances the opportunity of seeing what life can be like, what society can be like. And I have had these visions, and when I say visions, not kind of lots of colours and lights, but I've had these kind of visions based on perception of what a world would be like when we live from our beauty and see each other's beauty. And it's phenomenal. And I think really real as well, because as you're saying, Mina, it's like, it's from the inside out, isn't it? And you also, Linda, the inside out. And so I think we've got this fantastic opportunity of continuing to enhance our inner beauty. There's a book as well, actually. I remember I read that 30 years ago. Enhancing that inner beauty and sharing it out as well.
And that's definitely connected with the simplicity and this practice of having less and less thoughts. You know, this is so helpful to really downsize the number of thoughts that are traveling through the mind, because when it's whizzing around, you're very external at that moment. But when we keep traveling on this journey inside, then gradually those thoughts slow down, and then the beauty naturally emerges. It naturally emerges, and all the other qualities that go with that's they all emerge. So you get honesty and sweetness and kindness and generosity, and all of these are innate in every single soul. So when we really get that, it's the crux of it, I think, is this quiet mind, that when I can bring it into that, not a completely silent mind, but it's a quiet mind, then I can really connect with that which is truth, that is really inside.
What happens when you see beauty in front of you? You become speechless. Your mind goes into a state of silence and quiet. You want to absorb what's around you. Its energy brings you somehow in the awareness of your own beauty. Beauty of stillness. Beauty that takes you into a place of deep harmony. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but beauty is in the heart of beauty, of the one who senses beauty. Beauty is what the spirit is. Become aware of yourself is this beautiful energy of love, of peace, and an energy that brings everything together, extends itself to everything and everyone. Become aware of your breath. See if you can get in tune with your heartbeat. Feel the pulsating nature of your heart. It's in that space that you perceive that which can't be seen with the physical eyes, which can't be touched with your physical hands, but you know that it gives life. This is the spiritual beauty that exists all around us. Become quiet. Become still. Become silent. And listen to that soundless silence that stops your mind and almost makes you miss a heartbeat. Takes you into a place of elated joy, but quiet, serene, and gentle. It's a space that holds and tolerates everything. It's a magnanimous space of grace. It comes to the door of your heart when you look inside your heart and feel the nature of who you are. A child of God, the one who has kinship with every living being. And this kinship is the beauty of who I am and what the world around us is. Allow yourself to bathe in this beauty and allow yourself to be lost in this, but still never lose yourself. Om Shanti.